We're joined now by Lisa Anderson, a supply chain expert and president of LMA Consulting Group, Inc., to discuss this further. Good afternoon, Lisa. Now, I want to start with this. Norwegian authorities are now looking for a man who allegedly founded a Bulgarian company that was reportedly part of this pager supply chain. He's gone missing now after a trip to the US, and authorities are looking for him. So it seems like these explosions in Lebanon just keep revealing a messier and messier global supply chain. How do you see this impacting the future of international trade?
Yeah, it's highlighted the extreme vulnerabilities of the global supply chain. And you really have to be careful about your end-to-end supply chain. It's not enough just to look at the first tier supplier. You have to be looking at the entire supply chain. And it just highlighted the need and the risks associated in the global supply chain.
Now, Lisa, you've mentioned before that companies need to shift from a reactive to a proactive set of strategies when it comes to protecting their supply chains. How can they do that?
Well, there's several ways. You can start with some of the basics, like make sure that you have backup suppliers that are in more than just name only. We need to be diversifying our supply chain so that we have more. Really, we need to take control over our supply chain is the bottom line. We can't afford to have players in our end-to-end supply chain that we don't know what they're doing and what could happen to our products because we're ultimately responsible. So we're going to have to take better control of our supply chain, partnering with suppliers and formalizing agreements. Perhaps like strategic alliances, joint ventures, and really the key thing is that we're going to need to reshore and bring manufacturing to locations that we can control is really the bottom line. Whether that's like, for example, if we're in the U.S., so we bring it back to the U.S., or we may bring it near shoring to somewhere like Mexico. But we still have to make sure that we know everyone that's in the supply chain and what they're doing.
And yeah, as you mentioned there, this really important step would be reshoring or bringing manufacturing back. So we do see so much manufacturing is overseas right now in countries such as China, which clearly don't have the US's best interest in mind. Now, we've seen Congress address some of these concerns already with bills such as the Routers Act, but what more needs to be done, Lisa?
To your point, there is a lot that needs to be done. We have to build our manufacturing capacity. We have high skilled talent. The good news about the US is that we have a history of manufacturing dominance. We've been offshoring for many years, but we have a lot of the skills available. So we really need to ramp up our manufacturing capabilities. We need to be quickly doing supply chain assessments and making sure that we can get through the short-term period, the interim period, and that we take control and we meet with our suppliers and we know what's happening in our supply chain. And then longer term, which really should be medium term or short term if we can do it, we need to be looking at reshoring, building manufacturing capacity, sourcing suppliers that we know who they are. And when I say control, I don't mean it literally, although vertical integration is another strategy that's being pursued by manufacturers today.
Now, Lisa, I'm curious, are these big companies that are working and trading in these really important products and resources, are they aware of this problem? Are they showing any concern or action to prevent this type of problem right now?
Well, the answer is yes and no, but I would say that these vulnerabilities did arise during the pandemic. Folks realized that they were having a harder time getting products, but they didn't necessarily think through the risks associated with having so many players and players that we don't really know who they are. And they might just be a supplier of a supplier, but they can bring the whole supply chain down. So there is a heightened awareness since the pandemic, but it's like maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, it was like a 3. And now we really have shot up to being more like a 8, 9, or 10. We should be at a level 10 of concern. And so I would say that companies are starting to pursue this and they are starting to reshore, but it's nowhere near fast enough. We need to be taking quick action.
So you say a level 10 concern. Is that how concerned you are about this right now?
I am, because our supply chains we are so dependent on players we don't even know who they are. Many companies do not have a complete map of who all their suppliers are and what they supply. Like obviously, if they supply something that's not concerning, there's less risk. But there's just so many unknowns. So it's a very high concern, and it's not something you snap your fingers and fix. So we need to have a short term and a medium term and a long term strategy that we do immediately.
Now, Lisa, we've been talking about government, we've been talking about these big international companies, but let's narrow it down to the everyday American consumer. Should they be at all concerned about this?
Well, I mean, I would say that so long as companies take action, they can quickly do an assessment of their supply chain. They can identify these types of risks. I mean, it's obviously a terrible thing that this happened, but it has highlighted the issues so that we can get in front of it. And if we do a quick assessment, then they can curtail significant risk so that while they're resolving their supply chain for the future. So I would say no, don't worry about it. But yes, encourage the government to take the appropriate actions and to protect the supply chain, and encourage your companies and your local businesses to take action. So you are going to have to be concerned about who you're buying things from if they aren't taking action.
Very good advice there, Lisa. So much happening on the international stage right now. Let's hope that the government and these big companies do what it takes to have the necessary precautions. Lisa Anderson, supply chain expert, thank you.
Thank you.